The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Good guys never win in real life in sports. Moneyball is actually the most realistic sports movie because the underdogs got crushed by like the fucking evil conglomerate team in the end. So.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Everyone that's eligible in the United States running for president.
Yeah, it seems like everyone in the Republican Party is just like, I'm going to be president.
I'm announcing my candidacy later this week.
Oh, good. I assume you will also be using a roundel.
Well, of course.
It works great for buttons.
Like I would choose anything else.
Rick Santorum has a logo that looks like it belongs on a polo shirt.
Oh, is Huckabee running again? Jeez, how many people are running? For Pete's sake.
Like, all of the Republican Party is running. It's insane.
Yep.
Wow.
No, seriously, like everyone that's ever been a Republican official anywhere.
I think the only one who say he's not running is Romney. He said he wasn't going to do it again, but everyone else has. Jeb Bush has announced that he's running.
Oh, there's your front runner, I think.
I actually saw a sign that said, end the monarchy, no Bush or Clinton.
I hope it's Bush Clinton. I hope that's what it is. I hope that's what it is.
I don't know.
Let's cross party lines and make us Bush Clinton.
I don't know.
Bush Clinton is one ticket.
Why not?
Yes.
I don't know who else on the Democratic side could really beat Hillary at this point. I can't even name another candidate, really.
There's Martin O'Malley.
Yeah.
And then there's Bernie Sanders.
I was doing a Periscope thing, and somebody asked me, hey, would you vote for Bernie Sanders for president? And I thought they were talking about the football player. I didn't even know that there was a Bernie Sanders in Congress. So I was like, Bernie Sanders, yeah, sure, why not? I would love to see him, do a bunch of spin moves on his way to the vote. I'll vote for Peyton Manning, too. And then it's like, no, there's a Bernie Sanders. Over the last few years, I've just become so disenfranchised with politics.
Me too.
I find it hard to care. Like, I know you have to care because it's stuff that affects the people and the country, but it's like I just can't bring myself to pay attention to all these dick-waving contests that they have up until, it's game time.
Well, you know what gets me is that, like Obama ran in 2008, change, we're going to do – he hasn't done it. I mean – now, granted, you've got to work with Congress, and there's a lot of things that come into play, but I don't know that he got any of the things that he promised all these people. I don't think he got any of it done, did he?
Guess what's still open? Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah. I did see that they let the Patriot Act expire.
Sections of it they did, yes. The sections that pertain to NSA surveillance were struck down.
I guess that's good.
One last thing on political branding, because I just find it amazing that in the United States – everybody, regardless of party, has a red, white, and blue logo.
Because America.
Because up here, though, conservatives are blue, liberals are red, the NDP is orange, the Green Party is green.
Mike, if you run in the United States of America without a red, white, and blue logo, you will be branded either a communist, a fascist, whatever. Whatever the worst thing you could be on either side of the aisle, that's what they're going to call you.
Yeah, no, and Greg's not kidding.
I've seen enough to know that he's not.
It's really. Oh.
I just find it funny. Like up here, like you could have like an orange logo and like you're completely viable, but in the United States, everyone's got to have a red, white, and blue logo, or you hate freedom.
Exactly. I'm trying to think, and because I've been around for a few presidential elections, and I don't recall anyone.
Jimmy Carter had a green and white logo when he ran for re-election. We all saw how that ended for him.
Did he really?
Yep, Carter's logo for re-election when he ran against Reagan in '80 was green and white, and, well, he lost, so...
Reagan got the 49 state run against Mondale in '84, right?
Yeah, but
Carter, yeah.
Yeah, but Carter was... He still beat Carter.
He still beat him handily, yeah, but when the Democrats ran Walter Mondale in '84, I was like, Christ, this is going to get ugly. I'm surprised Mondale won Minnesota. I figured that...
Apparently it was razor thin, too. It almost went the other way.
Yeah. because, and I'm a registered Democrat, but I got to be honest, I loved Reagan as a president. I know that that's terrible, but I'm just going to say it. Of course,
you should be able to. Everyone who is being honest with themselves should be able to appreciate, someone on the other side.
Well,
tear down this wall.
I know a lot of his policies are controversial and all that, but as far as message goes, he said the right thing at the right time, and it worked. I don't know if he had any influence on anything at all, but he changed the attitude of the country, and it really needed to be changed at that point. I really believe
any president that has the balls to propose a laser defense system,
fuck yeah,
Star Wars,
fuck
to shoot down the Russians and their ICBMs.
I am all for that.
Yep. He was awesome, though, man. I mean, he just didn't take shit from anybody, and I like that. Because at the end of the day, how much influence does the president really have?
Well, I think Obama has proven not much.
Yeah, exactly. So really, when it comes right down to it, you're just voting for the guy that makes you feel better about yourself, and I thought Reagan did a great job of that. That's what I thought.
I think the only thing that Obama's presidency has really shown anyone is how broken the system is now.
Right.
Because the president can't really push things through without people.
To Obama's credit,
and the Congress can't do anything.
To Obama's credit, he did try to close Guantanamo Bay, but then Congress told him no, and he really couldn't do anything about it.
I am happy, though, that we did elect a black president 2 terms in a row. I think that's good.
Is that enough to declare racism over?
No, but okay. I can tell you this, too. He'll probably be the last one for 100 years, to be honest about it.
I don't know. I kind of liked Herman Cain just as a loudmouth politician, as a novelty factor.
Honestly, and I've got nothing to base this on, but I really think that once we elected Obama, it was kind of like all the white people thought, okay, now that that's done, we don't have to worry about it anymore. And that was that. That he'll be the last one in my lifetime. I'm almost willing to bet.
I like to tout that Canada, we had a female prime minister, so
That's why after Obama got elected, everyone kind of fast-tracked Hillary to be the next one. Like, oh, well, we had a black man. Now we're going to have a woman, and we're going to get everything done, and we're all going to be happy. It's like, well...
What if it's Hillary versus Marco Rubio, and we have the woman versus the Hispanic? That could send some canceling vibes,
and
right?
Sarah Palin will come around the end for the kill.
That'll create a paradox of some sort. We'll disappear right into our own very existence if that happens. We will just stall and stand there for 3 years.
I thought 2012 was interesting because you had Obama, black man against Romney, who was a Mormon. Mormonism isn't exactly mainstream in the United States, so I thought that even then was interesting.
Well, you know why it's not mainstream, don't you?
Why is that?
Because they're crazy.
Oh, yes.
But Greg, when you die, you'll get your own planet, and it'll be fine. I
don't want my own planet. It's going to be way too much aggravation. I don't want to be bothered with that.
But Greg, think about it. Every business on your planet would have a roundel logo.
Your commandments could be like, thou shalt not have non-roundels.
I want my afterlife to be similar to the goals I'm trying to attain in this life, which is just to be left the fuck alone. That's all I want.
Well, no, the planet you would own would not have anything on it except for baseball-playing chimpanzees.
That I might get on board with. That would be great.
Yeah.
A logo that's an angry chimp swinging a baseball bat inside a roundel.
Yes. Yes. All of those things.
I have to say that...
And all of them are wearing stirrups.
I'm not a big stirrup guy, really. They're okay.
I would have begged you for one of those.
No.
Baseball uniforms are weird. I'm very traditional in my aesthetic preferences, but... And this is just coming from my experience playing baseball. I hate stirrups and I hate high socks.
Yeah, I'm not big on them either. I mean, because when I played first, before I came back and started playing again in my late or mid 30s, there were no long pants or anything like that. So I finally got to play a couple seasons where I could wear my pants like they do today, and I liked it a lot better. Because when I played, it was like they came down barely past your knee, and you were just stuck with that. Mm-hmm. So you either had the stirrups or the high socks, and I never cared for the look. I just didn't. I mean, I'm okay with it. It's all right, but I'm not one of these people that's like, oh my God, we all need to go back to wearing stirrups because tradition and blah blah blah. Screw that. I don't think that's. I think that's ridiculous.
Indeed.
But other than that, I'm straight down the line tradition with baseball. Except for that I don't.
No. I am too. If I had my way, I would insist that every baseball team had to pick one day when they could wear their alternate jerseys, and they'd only be allowed to wear them those days.
Like, say, every Tuesday or Sunday or just once a season type thing.
No. Like every Tuesday or something. Like I tell like the Blue Jays.
Most teams do that.
Some do. Like the Blue Jays really abuse their blue alternates. I think they get worn more often than their grays.
You know why? Because a lot of teams let the starting pitcher choose the uniform.
That's stupid.
And
I know, like the Angels wear the red one a lot.
Yeah, and when you do that, you've got guys that are, basically, your age or younger. They're going to pick the one that looks cooler to them. I like the dark alternate jerseys. I think they're cool, and I'd be fine with doing an NFL style thing where you wear a colored jersey versus white. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I've never understood the argument from some people that it looks like softball. Or
I can because softball tends to use solid color jerseys.
Yeah, but I don't see a problem with it.
I don't necessarily either. I just really like.
I like color.
There are some gray jerseys that I absolutely love. The Yankees and the White Sox, both of their gray jerseys are some of my favorite jerseys in baseball.
The San Francisco alt with the SF over the left chest, that thing's awesome too. Yeah, I mean it's not like gray jerseys are bad, but. The softball thing comes from the 70s when you had the Pirates wearing bright yellow jerseys with black pants and the Indians were going all red. And that's where that comes from.
Colored pants is where I draw a line.
Yeah. But I'm okay either way.
Even
but
the light blue trend was not a fan. I was not a fan of that.
I thought I was going to be until it came back. And because a lot of those, like the Braves wore the light blue back in the 80s, and I think the Cardinals, Jays wore light blue. Cubs had this light blue with pinstripes they wore for a while, which was just atrocious. And I thought when they came back, I thought this will be pretty cool. But when I saw them in practical application, I'm like, I'm not a big fan of that. But I like the dark jersey over the white pants. I think it looks good. But then again, maybe you do need to limit it a little bit. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out my planet. You guys are confusing me here.
Now that we got all the esoteric crap out of the way.
Do we want to pick something to fight about this week, or do we want to do Zach's postmortem? Where do we want to go?
Zach, I'm just going to let you take it away.
Poor bastard. Wait, actually, Zach, I have a question if you want to start out that way.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a question about Bruce Boudreau and his strategy. Now, I was kind of half paying attention when I first started watching the game. And I kept hearing the announcers say that Boudreau was changing lines to match Chicago or something like that. Yeah. But they made it sound like something he hadn't done before. And I thought, I don't know if I like the sounds of that, but I didn't know if I'd heard it wrong or if it was something he tried that was different. And I'm wondering if that had any kind of effect on anything.
It had a slight effect, maybe. But I think anything in line matching in Game 7 was won by Joel Quenneville. Because on the opening faceoff, this is what Quenneville did. He put Taves out there for the opening faceoff, not with his normal line mates. So you kind of look at that like, why? Well, he's going up against Getzlaf. Taves wins the faceoff, sprints over to the bench, and changes for the regular center. And they did that multiple times during the game.
That's a lacrosse thing. I was just reading an article about that. It's called it's FOGO, face-off, get-off.
Yeah. I played lacrosse, and you have designated face-off guys sometimes. And Quenneville kind of did that, and I think it messed with Boudreau. But also, I don't think that ultimately mattered, just because they didn't show up again, man. Once they lost Game 6, I was so... I mean, we talked about it. I was afraid for Game 7, for good reason. This team, 3 years in a row, in concurrent rounds, first round in 2013, Game 7 at home, don't show up against Detroit, make a late comeback, make it 3-2, but I never thought they were ever going to win that game.
Too little, too late, basically.
Right. Against LA last year, they're down 3-0 after the first fucking period. 4-0, 2 minutes into the second. And yeah, they score a couple goals late, but it doesn't matter at that point. Especially against a team with a killer instinct, like the Red Wings had, like the Kings had, and like the Blackhawks have. You saw it last night with the Game 1 in Tampa. If you don't put that team away, they will come back.
Oh, yeah.
Tampa let them hang around with only a 1-goal deficit, and Chicago was like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it really was, yeah.
It's just, like, you go back and look at the entirety of the series, and something that Bob Murray, the general manager, said in the exit interviews, he thought that the Ducks had Chicago on the ropes after 4 games. And they should have. The only 2 games they lost in those first 4 were a triple overtime, where they dominated all of overtime until a bounce off a leg, And the double overtime where they dominate all of overtime until a weird block shot that pops out and you can't do anything about it. And they're tied 2-2 instead of being up 3-1 or even sweeping the damn thing. And then you go into Game 5 and everything's great. You're on a roll. But even though you end up winning in overtime, the collapse with Taves scoring those 2 goals in the final 2 minutes, and especially the tying goal, their confidence was rattled. Mm-hmm. And I thought that they had to win Game 6 because then they would be in shambles coming back home for Game 7. And again, they didn't show up in Game 6. They didn't show up in Game 7, and they lose. And it's so goddamn frustrating because, as something a lot of the guys on the team said in their exit interviews, and I believe it too, I mean, you guys heard me say it all year, I thought this team was different. I thought this team had what it took to win a Stanley Cup.
Oh, definitely. You were saying in that Winnipeg series that the fact that they came back from behind late in the game to win 3 of those 4 games was, they believed that they could do it.
Right, and I thought that sort of attitude that we can win any game that we're in and we're going to do it, mm-hmm. I thought that would carry them through. But mm-hmm. at the end of the day, it came back down to strength on strength in a Game 7 with all the marbles at play, and they just didn't show up. I can't understand how a professional athlete at the pinnacle of your sport with a chance to go to the championship series just can't show up and play hard against a championship caliber team like the Blackhawks. It blows my mind how a team just cannot show up like they have in 3 straight seasons now.
I'm curious, as a fan, from what you observe, is this on the players or is this on Boudreau?
I'd say a little of both, but I want to put it on the players enough because I want to put it on Getzlaf in particular.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because in Game 6...
Because he's bald, right?
Well, yeah. in Game 6, he was god-awful. And after the game, he said, we were terrible. I was terrible. Like, he said, I was terrible, this is on my shoulders.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's what you want your captain to say. You want him to say that and then come out for Game 7 and play the hardest he's ever played. And guess what? He was just as terrible or worse in Game 7. I'm really convinced that if Brian Bickle doesn't make that dumb mistake in overtime, if the Ducks don't end that quickly like they did, and it goes on for a little bit longer, I believe Chicago would have won that game, and they would have gone into Game 6 and closed it out in Chicago. Because as the series went on, the Ducks had their chances to really put the hammer on this Blackhawks team with the overtime games and all that, and being up big in Game 5, and they just couldn't finish the deal.
I think if I were a Ducks fan, I could live with losing a Game 7 if it were a competitive Game 7. But Christ, it was like just like last year. It's like they just didn't show up.
That's the worst part.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I knew when Chicago scored like 2 minutes into Game 7, I thought this is over. It's done. There's no hope.
No, I felt the same way. I go into it trying to have a positive. I get negative up until the game, but once I'm there, it's positivity. Like, okay, let's go. We're gonna get the first goal, and then we're gonna roll. Chicago scores the first goal. It's just the sinking feeling because you look up and it's like it's only 3 minutes into the game and they scored again.
I wanted to point out that it sounds like we're kind of making it sound like the Ducks just gave away the series, but the Blackhawks.
The Blackhawks are. All credit to them.
Yeah,
really.
That's a great team. I mean, I don't care what the fans say, and I know they've got their weaknesses here and there, but I tell you what. These guys, it seems like, and whether you believe in clutch or you don't, whatever, it's like when they need to ring the bell, they ring the bell.
Yep.
Now, there's one other question about Game 7 I want to ask Zach, and that is, do you think that the clearly kicked-in goal from Hossa changed anything? Like, if they hadn't scored that, do you think Ducks' comeback would have been more plausible?
Do you really think that Hossa's goal was that clearly kicked in, Mike? Because I thought it was...
I do, yes. I
hate that rule. Because you look at it and you could say it's a kicking. It's not a kicking motion.
It's the Calvin Johnson rule. By the letter of the law, the right call was made, but all common sense says, that was a kick.
That was different than somebody just standing next to the net and turning their skate a little bit. He's turning the skate and stopping, so he's moving forward with his skate angled in a way to hit the puck towards the net. Like, it's. I think maybe you just need to. There's no way to make the fine points of the rule. You would either have to make it you can't direct anything in with
Right.
anything other than the stick.
Yeah,
Or you have to keep it as distinct kicking motion. And distinct kicking motion gets a little wobbly, but I didn't have any problem with them scoring the goal just because the Ducks were playing so bad. It didn't. Chicago was going to get that goal one way or the other.
What's lost in this, too, is that the Rangers and the mighty Henrik Lundqvist in his Game 7 streak, that's done.
Yeah.
I don't know that if I walk away from that, I mean, after everything calms down a little bit, I don't know that team, they were never terribly impressive throughout their whole run in the playoffs, the Rangers. And to me,
they dominated Tampa a few games in that series, so I wouldn't say they were entirely unimpressive.
Outside of those couple games where they scored a bunch of, like the 2 Tampa games where they scored 5 and 6 goals, the Rangers had trouble scoring goals all playoffs.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they broke through a couple times, but I thought that, again, now my hockey knowledge is limited in comparison to yours, but it seemed to me like they should have had an easier time with the Penguins than they did.
Yeah, considering how then again, Marc-Andre Fleury had a surprisingly not disappointing playoff. So, you know,
Marc-Andre Fleury aspiring to not be disappointing.
Yes.
Yeah, they should have beat the Penguins more effectively, maybe.
You know, and
they
the Caps
by the Caps.
Yeah, but I think the Caps were kind of hot, so I'm gonna kind of make an allowance for that one. But anyway, So here we are with the. I don't know. I think last night with the Hawks getting that first one, I don't think the series goes very long. You know?
No, I was sitting at the Angel game last night, right? Because I'm not going to watch a damn minute of this series. I can't bring myself to do it.
I understand the feeling, believe me.
Like, I'm sitting in the stands and I could see the pond from my seat. He passed outfield.
He posted a picture, Mike, on Facebook that said Tampa Bay versus Anaheim, but we're on the wrong side of the highway or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were they playing the Rays?
Yeah, they were playing the Rays.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, but it would have been so funny to be like, hey, Anaheim versus Tampa Bay at the same time. But when I saw Tampa was up 1-0, I'm like, okay, that's good. And then later on when it's like, oh, Blackhawks scored 2 goals in 2 minutes in the final 6 minutes of game. Like, oh, yeah, of course. Of course they did.
Right.
Of course they fucking did.
It was such a weird game. Well, no, it wasn't weird, but I think Tampa needs to get their heads out of their asses, because here's what I saw. I saw a team that came out guns blazing. They got one early past Crawford.
Which was an amazing goal, by the way.
An amazing goal. But after they got it, they just kind of sat back, and I think that basically this is a team that before last night was 9-0 in these playoffs when they scored first. And so when they got that first goal against Chicago, they said, all right, now we just need to keep doing what we do and we'll win. And that led to a false sense of security, and Chicago stormed back. And you can't just sit back against the Chicago Blackhawks. They're too talented. So they allowed the Blackhawks the opportunity to mount a comeback. And you just can't do that. I don't think I'll go as far as Greg to say that this series, is already it's not going to be a long one, but I will say there's potential for it to go that way if Tampa doesn't realize that, the Blackhawks are at a different level. You can't just
if you've got
do what they've been doing and think that'll be enough.
If you've got a 3-goal or less lead against that team, you cannot, under any circumstances, take your foot off the gas.
No.
You just can't do it.
I'll tell you from experience.
They tied it up, and I was like, oh, we got a game. And then they scored again within 2 minutes. And I'm like, oh, God, it happened.
Engage Blackhawks blitzkrieg offense. That's what they do.
It's like they just sat around. It's like the Blackhawks were just like kind of just, sitting there. And then they're like, oh, there's only 10 minutes left in the game. I guess we should play hockey now. Okay, here you go.
Don't you think, though, that's a sign of a great team, though, is that you cannot let up for a second. If you want to beat them, you've got to beat them all 60 minutes. You're not going to,
I think I brought this up way back in the Nashville series, because Nashville was giving the Blackhawks a hard time, but the Blackhawks were always able to make a comeback or get back into it or end up winning a game in triple overtime in that series too. And as the game goes on, you just think to yourself, well, the Blackhawks have that championship pedigree. They will find the way to do it. If you don't put your skate on their throat and push down, then you let them have even the open window to jump through, they'll do it. In Game 5, when the Ducks get a goal and they go up 4-2, late in Game 5, You think against any other team, you know what? That's probably it. We're going to be okay. And then a couple minutes later, Jonathan Taves scores 2 goals in a minute, and you're saying, "Oh crap, we're going to overtime now." When this team should have been dead and buried.
I made the mistake.
This is a team that you can just bury by simple means.
And
you have to go hard at them because they're good, and they have every inch of confidence in the world that they will win.
I made that mistake watching Game 5. It was 4-2, and I thought, well, I'm going to switch over to something else. And all of a sudden, I'm like, holy shit! It's just like I said. If you're going to beat them, if you let up for a second, if they're within striking distance, they're going to get you. If you let up for a second.
I thought after the first period, Tampa really dominated the first half of the first period. After the first period, the announcers, they were going, Chicago escapes only down 1-0. And I thought, no, that's a really good point, that Tampa had an opportunity to put at least 3 up on the Blackhawks in the first, and they only came away with 1. That's not going to be good enough later in the night. And so it's kind of like, if you have a chance to put up 3 or more on the Blackhawks, you have to capitalize on all of them because you need all of the insurance for late in the game when that push comes.
Well, yeah, I mean,
even last night, before Chicago tied it, Ryan Callahan gets that breakaway.
Yeah,
that's when you got to bury.
Yeah,
you can't stick around 1-0 late in the third period because Blackhawks are going to make a push, and
Duncan
that was in the middle. Like, you could see the wheels start turning with the Blackhawks team. They start circling, the puck gets moving, they have extended time, and sooner or later, the puck's going to end up in the back of your net 3 times, and you're not even going to realize
they
it.
start circling like that eagle coming in for the kill. Here we come.
And fucking Duncan Keith, man, he made that first Blackhawks goal happen. He took a dead play and by sheer force of will directed it towards the net, and then it went in.
Was it you last night that called him a goddamn Terminator?
Yeah.
Yes, I called him a goddamn Terminator.
He is. Like, of all the Blackhawks that I saw in the entire series, I'm always impressed with Patrick Kane's hands. Jonathan Taves is just he is the modern day Mark Messier, Steve Yzerman, all that sort of thing. But I was most impressed by Duncan Keith in that series.
He just keeps going.
The sheer amount of minutes he played and the quality of play that he had, despite all that extended time, he was probably the best player on the ice in the series. And honestly, if the Blackhawks go on and win the Stanley Cup,
he's got to be the Conn Smythe.
Right. If Jonathan Taves doesn't do anything crazy in this series like he did in the Ducks series, I would give it to Duncan Keith for the Conn Smythe easily.
Oh, yeah.
He's been the best player on that team the entire playoff.
I mean, Tampa's got him smothered for the puck, and through sheer force of will, he gets it through to the front of the net. God damn it! I'm glad. Well, first I said I'm glad I have him on my fantasy team, and he's a keeper. Okay, so, but it was absolute he's just the Terminator. Like, you can't stop him. He's just going to keep going. One Blackhawks fan, I think, described him as like he wasn't so much drafted as he was built after he was ordered. They put together the Duncan Keith robot.
I mean, the guy will play 45 minutes a night and not sweat.
Yeah.
Well, I was reading an article, I think yesterday or the day before, about just the Chicago defensemen and how many minutes they're playing compared to what's normal, Yeah. And you would just think that by this point they would just be dragging ass.
You think that? And then somebody brought this up. I forget where. I either read it or heard it somewhere. But in the Ducks series, that's something everybody brought up, that they're just going to eventually they're going to break down because they can't do this with all these guys. But once they get to when they get to the Stanley Cup final with this Blackhawks team, they smell blood. They're going to finish it off.
You can't slow Duncan Keith down. He has knives, stabbing weapons.
Right. Like, if they were going to break down, it would have been the first 3 series. But now that they're here and they have the chance to win it, they're going to go full force. They're not going to wear down or any of that sort of thing.
Speaking of the fact that, the Blackhawks are basically playing with 4 defensemen, Don Cherry mentioned that in Coach's Corner last night in the most Don Cherry thing you can ever say.
Oh, Sunshine, look at all those good Canadian boys back there on D playing so hard.
He said that, and then he followed it up. Some say, that you can't do it with 4. Well, they're doing just as good with 4. You don't need 6 guys. You don't need 7 guys. They're doing it with 4. That's all you need.
Yeah. Yes, that'll be the next wave of hockey strategy. Instead of dressing 6 defensemen, you're going to dress 4.5 and dress like 20 forwards. Yes. Thank you, Don.
Is this the World Cup where we get to debut our black uniforms for the U.S.?
Yes.
The white and black uniform.
Your
Yeah,
black,
cool.
white, and Volt uniforms, because nothing says America.
That's right.
But
I can't wait till we change the flag to those colors. That's going to look so cool.
It's funny. You know who Katie Nolan is?
I've heard of her, believe it or not.
Okay. Well, she works for Fox Sports, and she does like videos and stuff. She has a show. I don't know how long the show's going to last, but she got some of the Women's World Cup stars to from the United States to be interviewed, and so she asked them some questions about the jerseys. And one of the things she asked was like, "So, what are your opinions on the jerseys?" And they were like, well, they're clean, they're fresh,
they are clean clothing.
well, a lot of them kept saying, "Oh, they're very clean." So she was like, "Give me words to describe the jersey without saying the word clean." They were like, fresh. I didn't hear the actual question, but the answer seemed like she was probably asking, well, they're white and black. Where's the red, white, and blue? So Alex Morgan, she's like, well, on the inside tag, there's the little triangle with the stars in the blue.
Oh, that makes up for everything.
Right.
I just find this FIFA thing just fascinating because
It gets better every day.
It gets better, but here's the thing about it. The original Swiss and FBI investigations didn't target Blatter. Like,
Right.
He was like, they did not go after him. So something happened between his re-election and his resignation. Somebody spilt something, I think, and that got back to him.
He was so defiant when he accepted the thing. Like, he gave a speech and then didn't take any question. Not even like 3 days later, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to resign now. For the best interests of FIFA. Like, why?
But something happened, though, in those 3 days where he went from defiant to, oh, shit. And out of everyone to have, they arrested a lot of high-ranking FIFA officials. I think somebody talked. Somebody said something that implicated
probably,
Blatter.
yeah.
And that got back to him, and so he decided to hightail.
Well, here's the thing now. Do you think he's like, is this like a deal like where if you resign and just get the hell out of here, we'll let it go? Or is it one of these things where in a week we're going to see him doing the perp walk somewhere?
I think it's more the latter.
You know what? I hope it comes out that the reason Sepp Blatter resigned was because their sponsors said we're going to pull our support if he doesn't resign. That therefore forcing John Oliver to drink a full bottle of Bud Light Lime on his show.
If there's anything that I've learned from years of watching TV and things like that, is when you get corrupt people and you start threatening, or you finally arrest them and threaten them, they're pretty easy to turn.
Yeah, they fold quick.
Right.
Like didn't this whole thing start with an informant? Like some FIFA official from the United States was arrested, and they used him to build the case.
He was an American guy in the FIFA executive committee, and he was taking so many bribes and got so much extra money that his lifestyle included
Chuck Blazer, by the way.
Blazer?
Chuck Blazer is his name, yes.
There it is, Blazer. He was getting so much extra money and living such a lifestyle that he bought an apartment in Trump Tower in New York City for his cats. His cats had an apartment in Trump Tower.
Well, you got to keep your cats in the lifestyle they've grown accustomed to, I suppose. Do they take care of themselves? I mean, because obviously you had to hire somebody to take care of them. They can't open their own cans of food.
So.
Wow.
Somebody had to take care of the cats.
Damn, man. This FIFA sounds like a good gig.
I like to think it was fully staffed with like the most luxurious furniture too, and the cats.
Absolutely.
Tore it.
Yeah, but geez, I mean, what a great gig this must be. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, that's the problem, is that there's so many low-level countries who like things this corrupt. That's why Blatter got reelected, because people are just going to keep voting him in power, because that keeps the gravy train.
Right, because like we mentioned before, the power lies in the big countries in UEFA, CONCACAF, and some of South America, even though a lot of South America was in the bag for Blatter too. But every country gets one vote. Every soccer federation gets one vote, I should say. Because there are teams that aren't countries that are in FIFA.
Like all the British national teams.
Like those, or a team like Montserrat.
Which is technically a British colony.
Right.
But they have their own team.
Right, they have 6,000 people on the island total, but they get the same amount of power and receive the same amount of money above the board, like as they're supposed to, the same amount of money above the board as the United States does, or the UK does, or Germany does, or anything like that. So FIFA's broken, like in general.
Yeah, I think that might qualify as the understatement of the year.
Right, but now that Bladder's out of there, and that they have all these other guys that were under him possibly turning on him, the wheels might be in motion to finally fix things. Mm-hmm. And if the Swiss thing keeps going, like it sounds like it's going deeper, and they're getting more and more stuff before they finally do it.
Well, when the Swiss went from saying we're not investigating Bladder to telling him not to leave the country, right. so obviously something came up.
We're pretty close to them making some sort of breakthrough or making arrests or whatever. But I think whatever the Swiss does, it will ultimately come through with and some of the stuff the FBI is doing too. Russia will still get the World Cup in 18?
Yes.
But it looks more and more like Qatar may the Qatar thing may finally come to light as, yes, it was corruption, and yes, we can finally get rid of this thing. And yes, but you can stop building those stadiums and killing all those slaves.
I was going to say, though, now you've got like 1,200 slaves that died for nothing if you don't put the cup there.
What's better, though, that they died for nothing or that you play soccer basically on the bones and blood?
I'm just trying to make their sacrifice worth something here, Mike. That's all.
To finish it, though, you're still going to have more of them die.
Well, I guess that's a good point, too. No, they should have never put a fucking World Cup over there. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently, Bladder was promising Mongolia the 2050 World Cup.
Just think, you make the United States World Cup team in 2050, and you get to go to Mongolia.
Mongolia.
Less dogs than Sochi.
Can you name a city in Mongolia?
Shit, no.
Are you kidding? I didn't know they had cities.
The capital, I could.
I assume that Mongolia is still built. I assume Mongolia still operates much like they did under Genghis Khan. They're just traveling villages.
It's just traveling villages and like the hordes.
Yes.
I'm curious now. It's capital Mongolia.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I want to get a town name out of this here. Let's see.
I think it starts with a K.
Oh, it's Ulaanbaatar.
I was wrong.
And it's the largest city.
How big?
Ulaanbaatar population 1,327,000.
No way! They've got a city with 1 million people over there?
Yeah.
Wow, I would have never guessed.
So I'm reading through this article. In footage recorded inside the Mongolian Football Federation headquarters, a written vow hangs on the wall, clearly stating that the tiny footballing nation would host the sport's biggest competition. It reads, Mongolia, the land of free and brave, will host Asian Cup 2035, World Cup 2050.
I didn't even think they were really a country. I thought it was just one of those things where, we're going to ship you off to Mongolia, and I thought it was something that existed back in the days of Genghis Khan and was just no longer a thing.
It's still a country. According to the Wikipedia article, Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia, the city was founded in 1639 as a movable nomadic Buddhist monastery. In 1778, it settled permanently at its present location. Before that, it changed location 28 times.
You got to like a city that moves around. I think that's a good idea. I like that.
But then in 1778, incidentally, only a couple years after America declared its independence, they're like, okay, guys, seriously, we need to pick a spot. And then they decide, guess this place works.
So I guess we're not going to get a 2050 Mongolian World Cup then now, right?
That's probably not going to pan out now that all of this has come to light.
Damn, and I already ordered T-shirts and everything. Oh, well.
I'm finding this immensely entertaining. And I still find it funny but of course it's going to be the United States because the United States doesn't care if you blacklist it from football competition. Nobody cares.
Right. Do you think that we're going to lose a minute's sleep over this? Nope.
I still like the idea that someone said, if the United States takes down FIFA, the rest of the world has to call it soccer.
Ladies and gentlemen, because FIFA put $100 million in my pocket, Zach's Tabs.
Zach's Tabs featuring Sepp Blatter.
Do I need to give you more money to get top of the show billing? Anyway,
wow, what do you got? I mean, let's talk here. How much money are we talking?
I've got $3 $5 in my wallet.
All right, get back to us when you're into some serious cash here. All right, so what do we got here? Where are we going first?
Back to our roots, talking about some TV stuff. The NFL bidding off the rights to have an NFL game streamed online.
Okay. Exclusively?
Exclusively streamed online.
All right.
So, because they didn't want to do it with a good game or a big game, they were trying to sell the streaming rights to the Bills-Jaguars game.
Why did I know the Jaguars are involved in this?
Bills-Jaguars in London.
If only it had been Jaguars-Browns to really just bring it all home.
That would have been perfect.
The winner was Yahoo. So this will be the very first NFL regular season game to be streamed online.
How much did Yahoo pay for this?
I'm trying to find that.
So basically, if you want to watch this game, which no one's going to want to watch, by the way, you have to order it online.
It's free.
Oh, it's free.
It's free.
Oh, okay. Well, that might actually work.
Free over the internet on Yahoo.com.
Okay, that might actually work.
I can't find a dollar figure.
I'm sure it was significant, whatever it was.
Right. What do you think about this as far as the future of watching sports?
I think it's headed that way.
Yeah, I mean, it is between NHL Game Center and MLB's streaming services. It's inevitable.
I had the choice this year because I used to I got MLB extra innings every year. And this year, I looked at it and I thought, I'm better off just going with the MLB.TV package. It's cheaper. I get all the same games, plus I get home and away feeds and a bunch of other stuff. My PS3 will play the games. I've got Apple TV. It plays on there. It plays on my iPad, computer, and everything else. It's the future. It's the way it's going to go. I think you'll still have it on regular TV, but I think everyone's going to go this route eventually.
I don't think regular TV, broadcast television, even cable television, I don't think that's going to disappear. That's not going away.
No, I agree.
It's never going to go away. It's too widespread and it's too ingrained. But I see a lot of this like, okay, you know how now the NFL package in the United States is split between Fox, CBS, ESPN, and NBC?
Right.
Yes.
I could see in the future, maybe say 20 years, where you've got maybe it's Fox, CBS, ESPN, and then maybe a website like Yahoo Sports, hypothetically.
It's interesting because I think they were going to try to do that with like the Thursday night package, but it made CBS so much money that CBS paid for it. I found it, by the way, for the one game, for the single Bills-Jaguars game, CNN says it will cost Yahoo $10 million for it.
Holy hell.
$10 million
For the freaking Jags and the Bills.
To watch those stupid, ugly helmets.
In London, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. CBS will handle the production and announcers for the game. It's still going to be on CBS if you live in Jacksonville or Buffalo. And I assume you'll still be able to watch it on Sunday Ticket. For us regular folk, we can watch it on Yahoo on October 25th. They beat out, looks like Google and Facebook were also one of the finalists.
Well,
But MySpace didn't make a
Friendster. No Friendster.
I thought Angel Fire was going to be all over this thing, man. Oh, well. GeoCities, yeah.
That would have been the coup for MySpace. Like, MySpace
returns.
MySpace Sports.
They could have Tom be like the color commentator. Be awesome.
Yeah, that would be. Oh my God, let's make this happen.
One of the other things that was talked about, and I know Netflix recently said that they weren't ever going to do this, but Netflix was supposedly in the running for it for a little while too.
Well, back to what Mike was talking about with the packages being split up, what I think you're going to see, I think that's certainly a possibility, Mike, and I could see that happening too. But another thing I think might happen with this is that instead of being one of the other rights carriers, you might get a situation where like a Yahoo or somebody like that gets the NFL package, and for a subscription service, they offer you like, I don't know, multiple camera angles, just a bunch of stuff to make it so that instead of watching it on TV, you are going to go to the internet side of it where you can have all these extra features.
What about this as an idea? Sometime in the future, the NFL uses this wherein like their big cable and broadcast partners, they get the premier games and then they just use online streaming as a dumping ground. Yeah, for Tennessee versus Houston week 9, no one gives a fuck.
Well, I think that the thing you'd have to work out there is they still, even if there's like a bigger game on, they'll still play the local game.
Right.
So like even if Patriots Colts is on or something like that, or Broncos Patriots or anything like that, if you are a Tennessee Titans fan and it is Titans Jaguars and you're living in Nashville, they're going to show you the Titans game rather than the big marquee game. So you still
I know. I'm technically in the Bills and Lions territory as far as NFL broadcasting is concerned, which means I watch a lot of shitty football in football season.
Oh, I watch plenty of Oakland Raiders and San Diego Chargers football.
I'm stuck with the Cleveland Browns. Give me a break.
Oh, come on, though.
Oh, by the way, speaking of the Browns, did you guys see their new jerseys and their first application of actually being worn on a human being in a somewhat realistic environment?
No.
It's one of those cases, like you always say, Greg, where the Photoshop looked really kind of cool, and then once you put them on a real person in the real world, it doesn't really work.
I have seen so many jerseys that when they released with the Nike, with the beautiful studio, the perfect lighting on that, and you go, well, that's not bad. Then you see it on the field and you go, holy shit, what happened? But the Browns uniforms weren't good from the start, so if they're bad in real life, I don't know what to say.
Do we want to talk about Caitlyn Jenner, a.k.a. Bruce Jenner?
I'm okay with it.
Sure.
The newly dubbed Caitlyn Jenner will be receiving the Arthur Ashe Courage Award at this year's ESPYs.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That also got some people mad. Some people were trying to downplay him and say that he's not deserving of it, or I guess she now is not deserving of it.
I think that it does take a certain amount of courage, especially if you're Bruce Jenner, to go through what he's going through. Because he's Bruce Jenner, it's going to get all this attention. So I think there's a certain amount of courage that goes with that. It doesn't bother me any because it's the ESPYs, and I don't take them seriously to begin with, so I don't care.
Right, and that's the thing with this is like, yes, there's always going to be, and something ESPN even said, there's always tons of candidates to pick from. You just have to pick somebody to win the award. There's not like a top three or nominations or anything like that. It's we chose this person, and especially for ESPN, this is something that's going to get them ratings. People are going to watch this.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yeah, if Caitlyn Jenner shows up to get the award, you better believe it.
Right.
Which is kind of a cynical way to look at it, but, I mean, facts are facts.
People do forget that he was once one of the better athletes that America's ever had.
The truth of the matter is that you've got a guy that was an Olympic champion decathlon athlete that's going through I don't know what the proper term is for it, but
gender sex change.
A sex. Well, yeah, I didn't want to put.
I don't think it's really a sex change. I don't know if he's going to go through the full operation. But
I've heard that he is.
Stuff like that.
But anyway, whatever the case may be, this is again, no matter who you pick, you're going to leave someone out. You're right. So I don't see what the big deal is with this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than the cynical view of, well, they're just doing it to get ratings, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and hope that's not the case.
Well, ESPN doing something for the ratings, I mean, that's nothing new. How long did they spend on Tim Tebow's 25th birthday again?
Like 2 days.
So, let's be honest here. ESPN doing what's best for their ratings isn't shocking, but I think a lot of people tend to be a bit too cynical these days, and they assume that because something is selfish that it can't have positive effects.
Good point.
ESPN might be entirely motivated by the ratings, but if ESPN's self-interest actually brings about something positive, then that's fine. The fact of the matter is, if something good was done by an act, regardless of how selfish the motivation was, then that doesn't erase the good thing that was done. So,
right.
Spoken like a true disciple of Ayn Rand, Mike. I'm impressed.
Is that Ayn Rand?
Exactly.
I've actually never read any of those.
I don't want to get into it, but yeah, it's very Randy in what you just said there. But
I don't know. Now I've got to reevaluate my entire. I don't know how I feel about that.
But but it's like you said, Mike. If they pick any of these, it's still a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Picking one good thing over the other, it's all apples and oranges. People are just trying to.
But you know
be
that
haters because of the Kardashian thing.
Well, I think it's that. I think it's that. I think it's a little bit of homophobia too. I mean, and I know that doesn't apply in this particular case,
Well,
but
yeah,
but I think it's a little bit of that too.
Thing.
Yeah, you know.
Well, I mean, the country shouldn't be looking to the Kardashians as their moral center.
Well, of course not. Of course not.
No. I don't think I've ever watched more than 10 minutes of the ESPYs my whole life.
No, the things that people remember from the ESPYs or that stick out are these awards and the speeches that go along with them.
Right.
Whether it's Jim Valvano or Stuart Scott last year, these are the things that make the ESPYs. No one cares about the rest of it. So.
Right.
And really, the only reason the ESPYs exist is because there's those 3 days around the MLB All-Star Game where there's literally no sports.
Hey,
at all.
hold on a minute now. You still get the AA and AAA All-Star Game, which, yes, I do watch.
Okay, but when you take away those, there's still 2 days where there is no sports.
Speaking of that, do you guys know that CBS Sports Network does a minor league game of the week every Thursday?
I did not know that.
That is freaking awesome, man. I watched last week. I watched the El Paso Chihuahuas take on the Round Rock Express.
Yes.
God damn it.
El Paso Chihuahuas.
Go Dunedin Blue Jays.
And, I'm really excited. I think in 2 weeks the Mud Hens are going to be on, so I'll be really, yeah. Anyway.
Will they be on against the Biscuits?
No, one's
That's
AA,
the
one's
thing
AAA.
The whole minor league structure is so Byzantine, it keeps me from getting into it. I can't, I don't know who's in what or...
But anyway, I completely derailed us again there. So what's next? What were we even talking about?
We were talking about Caitlyn Jenner.
And I get to minor league baseball out of that?
Yes.
That's pretty fucking impressive. I don't care what anybody says.
Game 7 between the Ducks and Blackhawks, surprise, surprise, set a ratings record for
Awesome.
NBC-SN.
Cool.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, I mean, you have the Blackhawks, but you would think that the Ducks, with all their, oh my god, crappy TV ratings.
It's the LA media market. That's huge.
Well, yes and no. It was a 327 overnight rating. It was the highest overnight rating for any non-Stanley Cup final game in NBC history. Because the game was on NBC.
A 3.27?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's damn good. I don't care who's playing. That's damn good for hockey in the U.S., especially on a cable network. That's nice.
Let's finish up with, because baseball season's not good enough to actually talk about in terms of baseball, I have a slew of baseball tabs.
Okay. He's thrown because I didn't get upset when he said baseball's not worth talking about.
So, I have 2 tabs left, 2 baseball tabs. Well, the Astros, they're getting rid of, God praise us, they're getting rid of the hill in center field.
Really?
Oh.
This is the last season that there will be the hill and stupid flagpole in the middle of the center
liked
field.
It was so bad and corny, but it was I liked it.
Next season they're going to bring the field in, or the fences in, from 436, the deepest in the majors, to 409, which I think is the 6th deepest. And they're going to put a party area or whatever.
I'm disappointed in that. I like the flag. It was stupid, but for all the right reasons. It was, so I don't know.
Yeah,
it was the epitome of neo retro gimmickry.
Yep.
No, exactly. That's why I loved it, because it didn't. It tried so hard to be gimmicky and retro that it didn't quite pull it off, and it was so blatant in what it was, it sort of became its own thing, and I liked that.
It was easily my least favorite stadium feature in all of Major League Baseball.
I don't like the slides at the Milwaukee Stadium.
That's out of the park.
You don't like Bernie
Brewer?
Brewer?
A baseball on the slide.
I don't like the slides. They look.
You don't have to.
He doesn't like Bernie Brewer.
The center fielders have to climb up the slide and go down it to catch.
Well, maybe that could have salvaged the idea. Another thing I don't like, those stupid tepid Ray aquariums in Tampa.
That's also, you don't even see it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I don't see it, and I feel sorry for the Rays because that water looks filthy.
Okay, I should say this is my least favorite field dimension in all of baseball. How about that?
Okay. Yes, fine.
I never understood it. I mean, other than the fact that they were just forcing a retro thing into it, but
they were trying to evoke some old field that had a hill on it.
I know. Yeah, I remember.
I looked it up. I forgot what it was.
But here's the thing, and I've never understood this about this team with that stadium. You're the Houston Astros, okay? Right. And we've got a railroad with an old-time locomotive, which is completely, they went with the railroad theme, and I just don't get it. Everything that part should have been what Miami's trying to be, is what I'm saying.
Are they still in first place?
Yes.
By 5 games, yeah.
They're for real, man.
No, 6. By 6 now, because the Angels lost.
They're for real. I'm telling you, that's a good ball club.
I don't understand how they became for real.
Well,
they were so bad.
Because it's one of those things where just the prospects.
It's an underdog story.
Oh, it has to be, right?
It's like a 90s sports movie happening in real life. We need to find out if, their coach was an alcoholic who's trying to turn his life around, or if they're, a bunch of, it's like a misfit team of losers, or someone's got cancer. You need to find, something's going on.
No, this is Major League happening in real life. They got rid of all their good players because they wanted to be terrible, and, look what happened. Holy shit, they're 13 games above 500.
Yeah.
Wow. That's not the best record in baseball, is it?
No, the best record is...
everybody's favorite, the Cardinals.
Of course it is.
But you know what? The Astros have the best record in the American League. Holy hell. I got to start paying more attention to this stuff.
I know.
I watched them play the Orioles today. They hit 2 home runs in that game, too.
The last thing, All-Star Game voting updates. Just because... There are too many Royals leading the All-Star Game voting right now. I'm sorry.
Hey, I do my part. I just vote for all the Blue Jays.
First off, let me. I have to stop everybody for a second here. Okay,
yes.
Voting for the All-Star Game is a sacred trust. All right. You do it one time. You do it correctly, where you go through and you pick the best player at each position, regardless of what team they play for. And if you don't do that, I'm sorry, I cannot take your vote seriously.
Unless you vote 25 times a day for all the favorite players on your team.
Which is what everybody does, and that's why you've got so many Royals.
So
Speaking of the Royals,
Salvador Perez leads by 1 million votes in the catchers over Steven Vogt.
I'll tell you what the problem is. There's no Latvian baseball player for all of Latvia to vote for.
but look at this. Okay, the Royals have one good season, and everybody wants to vote for them for the All-Star Game. They're leading in catcher. They're second at first base.
I'd say they've had more than one good season. Last season was good, and so far this season they've been good.
They're in first place. They're tied with the Minnesota Twins.
What is happening?
I'm looking at this
American League.
And look at Tampa Bay. We said Tampa Bay was.
What the hell was God?
I know. I saw them last night. What? What is this?
We were right about the Mets. We said they would make a run for the wild card. But the National League seems more normal. But Jesus, the American League is just upside down right now.
Yeah. It's
okay.
I mean, the freaking Yankees are in first. How?
I don't know.
They're like a senior league softball team.
Oh, well, also the reason I bring up the Royals voting thing, there is no dimension that this would ever happen where Mike Trout is only second among outfielders in votes. He's second to Lorenzo Cain.
God. See? That's what I'm talking about. That's why you've got to take your All-Star vote seriously.
So get ready for the All-Star Game where it'll be the Kansas City Royals versus the National League.
I'll take the Royals in that one.
All-Stars.
I'll take the Royals in that one. But yeah, they're having another good season too. But the Twins are the ones I don't get. I don't think they're going to last. I think Houston will. I don't think the Minnesota Twins will hold up. So.
Well, I mean, bro, listen, bro. They have what's his face, Trevor Plouffe. He's legit. He's legit, bro.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That guy can ball. That's
right.
He's legit.
He can flat out rake, man.
He can flat out rake. He's legit.
Okay. We got a little inside baseball there, but people that are on the boards will know exactly what we're talking about.
Totally legit.
Totally legit.
But
Look
yeah,
at
let's
the
see.
freaking Cardinals doing it again.
Yeah,
how do they do it?
Cardinals are already 6 games ahead of Pittsburgh.
I just don't. But you look
Dodgers,
at that team; they're
Giants.
not.
Okay. Let me break down how the Cardinals are doing this.
All right.
First of all, you got to do this position by position. Okay, at shortstop, Matt has been on fire. Okay, and the 3 Matts in the outfield, they're just catching everything. Right? It's like a black hole.
Brendan's doing pretty good at second.
Brendan at second's pretty good. Matt at first is solid, and quadruple Jesus at catcher has just been catching everything.
Actually,
Mark is a pretty good third baseman.
Yeah, I was going to say, but back up a second because the Matt at first base is injured. So you have Mark.
So they had to call up. Yeah.
Mark is playing first instead of Matt. I was hoping you'd get a quadruple Jesus in there. I was really
I did.
And they called up Connor from the minors.
Yeah.
So
God damn it.
Connor will go up and play well.
It's okay. No, I'm staying by my prediction. They're going to fall off. There's going to be a massive failing, and they're not going to make the playoffs.
They're up by 6 games. Mike.
Massive collapse.
They're the Cardinals, dude. They're probably going to win the World Series again.
And you know what else is hilarious? Oakland in last place.
Well, that's always funny.
Sabermetric. Fuck you all. Calculator.
You know who's playing pretty good again this year, too, is Texas, all of a sudden. And what's with Seattle? They were supposed to be great this year.
Well, they just traded for Mark Trumbo, so watch out.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
He'll hit.
I don't know. That's our baseball update for...
Yes.
All I know is that the Jays underperforming always means that when I do my yearly trip to Toronto for my yearly Jays game, tickets will be cheap.
Yeah, I was going to say, there'll be plenty of good seats to choose from.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, they're only 4.5 out.
I mean, Toronto's always 4.5 games out. I mean, that's a given. But the one that gets me, I mean, okay, yeah, we've got Kansas City, Houston, Minnesota. So the one that's killing me is the freaking Yankees. I don't get it because they're too damn old to be this good.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
And A-Rod.
Yeah, he's actually playing, isn't he?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. Anyway, is that it? Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. The website is basicallyasportshow.com. Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, and the YouTubes. And with that, we are done.
All right.
Okay.
Adios.